Messaging can be one of the most intimidating tactics for marketers. And while I do not recommend using AI to generate any messaging for you, it can really help inform your decision-making and strategy. I'm Steph from Conveyor Marketing Group, and I'm going to show you how our team uses ChatGPT 4.0 to speed up the research behind our messaging work. By the end of this video, you'll know how to use AI to inform a messaging strategy. I'll even share the prompts that we use here and how we define a messaging document. You'll find that there really is no standard for that. This approach cut our messaging research by about 2 to 4 hours, but there's still a lot of time and human input needed. So we'll talk about what that means for you. If you're a B2B marketer, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be a writer, you can use this AI-driven approach to speed your own strategy workflow. But you will need a writer to take the input and turn it into real-life messaging. If you don't have a brand-focused writer on your team, don't worry, that's something that we can help you with. Okay, so first, what do you need to get started? Identify your top competitors. I recommend no more than 3. If you have any existing messaging materials or strategy documents, gather those now too. Then develop a prompt that includes the following: a clear role. In this case, we used, you're a B2B messaging expert who will be evaluating the competitor landscape to make messaging recommendations for a company. A goal for the work. In this case, we asked it to assess our company against a competitor set in the context of the current landscape of the industry for messaging recommendations and enhancements. Company context. This is where you can upload or provide any background information you have, such as company goals. We use our proprietary KPI worksheet for that. The messaging document I mentioned earlier, any direction on tone of voice, persona definitions, company one-sheeters, anything like that. Then get ready to have a long conversation with ChatGPT. The more you talk with generative AI, the better its answers become. So do not shy away from asking it questions, or even better, prompting it to ask you questions back. Okay, so ask it to do the following. Summarize your company from just its website before you've uploaded any of your strategy materials. Then summarize the company again after it has reviewed the materials you provide to see how the summary has changed. This might indicate if there's a difference between your public messaging and your internal view of your messaging. Ask it to review your competitor URLs and provide a brief summary for each company. Ask it to provide a brief overview of the industry outlook, so the trends, challenges, etc., over the next 1 to 5 years, then the next 5 to 10 years. Ask that as 2 separate questions. Ask it to compare and contrast each company against your company. I recommend that you do this twice in 2 different ways. First, ask it to compare your company against each competitor, one at a time in a side-by-side comparison. Then ask it to compare the entire set of companies at one time with key takeaways noted in a table. See if anything's different in the analysis between those 2 approaches. Then ask it to provide a SWOT analysis of your company against the competitors based on what it's learned. And then finally, ask for any recommendations on messaging approaches and/or enhancements based on all of the findings from the conversation. Remember, break this down so that you're asking individual questions, waiting for responses, digging into answers, and prompting it to ask you clarifying questions. View this as a conversation. We'll share the template that we used as our prompt as a follow-up to this video. After we had all of the findings back from this conversation, we shared it with our human writers who did their fact-checking, reviewed it, and used it to inform their messaging. So, what do we include in a messaging document? It will vary slightly by company, but generally speaking, we include persona definitions, including decision maker versus influencer versus blocker roles, any direction on tone of voice, a formal boilerplate, an elevator pitch, positioning statements, value propositions for each persona, as well as for each product or service line. And then finally, any editorial style guide directions. So that's things like if you use the Oxford comma, if you use British versus American English, if there are some words you always use or never use, that sort of thing. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more or follow me on LinkedIn where I share other content on marketing and AI. And be sure to visit conveyormg.com to find a copy of the prompt that I referenced earlier. Thanks for watching.